YOLO! It has been a while since I've told you guys some trucking stories, so I figured it's about time that I share a little bit more of my ramblings from the road with you guys. This first story takes place about 2 or 3 years ago. It was on a Friday. I was trying to get home for the weekend, but I didn't have enough time to make it home for the weekend and go pick up a load. So, what the company was doing was having me swap loads with another driver. I got to, I think it was the BP station. I was sitting around waiting for the guy. The guy shows up. He's got this huge scowl on his face. You can just tell he's pissed. I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be fun. So I go disconnect from the trailer, move the tractor over. He gets out and starts ranting and yelling and rambling because he's all like, I can't believe they cut the phone service and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what happened? He's like, my wife's phone got stolen. So we were trying to track it with the My Phone thing, but it was having problems. So I called the company and I told them, hey, we need to be able to locate this cell phone. And they're like, I'm sorry, sir, we cannot track individual cell phones for whatever reason. And he's yelling at them, explaining that his wife's phone was stolen and they don't want the, hackers or the thieves who stole the phone to get any important information from them. So they want to be able to trace their phone and go get it, have the police recover it. But the customer service representative was not able to do that like he had wanted. So he started getting angry and screaming and cussing out the representative, who then froze his account because he was an irate customer. So now he's stuck in the middle of nowhere trying to do a trailer swap with me, can't get a hold of his wife, his wife's phone is stolen, all because he decided to take it out on the customer service representative. And I was sitting there, I'm like, oh man, that's horrible. And I thought to myself, you kind of deserved it though. Like, in your own anger, you made your situation so much worse because now you can't contact anyone else in your family. You can't call to make sure your wife is okay. You can't even talk with the police and figure out what's going on because you decided to start yelling at a customer service representative. Now, I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm just saying cause and effect. It seems pretty obvious to me that if you go start screaming at somebody, they might take that badly. Alright, now this next story is not exactly one single story, but it's more an amalgamation of things over the last 5 years, which is why I refuse to brush my teeth in the truck stop bathrooms. Now don't get me wrong, I do brush my teeth. I'll just brush them out in my truck using a water bottle, or I'll brush them in the showers. The shower sinks are cleaned in between every person's use, whereas the actual bathrooms at the truck stops are not cleaned potentially for hours. Some of the things I've seen in truck stop bathrooms: dudes cutting their hair in the sink, giving themselves a full on, like, they're cutting their bangs, their side, like actual barbershop style cutting their hair, letting it all fall into the sink. Dudes in the early morning being like, hacking up huge wads of phlegm or nicotine soaked slime. It's disgusting. And of course, all throughout the day, dudes washing their feet in the bathroom sinks. I've seen guys have their toes like curled around the nozzle so it can spray in between their toes. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, that is so disgusting. Whenever I see somebody brushing their teeth in the bathrooms, I'm just like, ugh. No. No, brother, no. On a less pleasant note, I've also seen an inside the park home run, or the aftermath, where some dude pooped in the urinals. Huge old poop log just sitting there. And then the worst of them was there was some old dude jorking it at the urinals. Yeah, truck stop bathrooms are not a very nice place. You don't want to go there if you don't have to. Our next story is a more recent story. It is the story of how I got my new truck. It all happened about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. I had just got done with about a 13-hour workday. It was a Friday. I was trying to go and get to a Love's to get parked up when the low coolant light had come on. I had pulled over at a safe spot. I think it was a rest area. Filled it up. Everything looked fine. I kept going. About an hour later, the low coolant light came on. I was like, oh boy, I probably have a leak because it should not be going low again. I go to fill it up again, and I don't have very much, so I top it off just enough to get it above the minimum line. And I'm like, all right, where's the nearest truck stop or place that I can buy more coolant at? So there's this tiny little rinky-dink truck stop. I go there, I buy the coolant. Sure enough, the light had gone off. It was low again. So I fill this thing all the way up to the maximum fill line. I've got maybe 20 miles before I get to the Loves. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get there. I'm going to put in my breakdown macro. They're going to get me pulled into the Love shop. They're going to fix whatever the leak is. Hopefully it's not the radiator. I get probably 2 to 5 miles from that little rinky-dink truck stop. Start heading towards the Loves on I-40. Coolant line ruptures. All the coolant immediately dumps out and the truck starts overheating. So I flip my hazards on. I pull over to the side, which there's almost no side of the road. I'm basically, the right half of my truck is hanging off in the soft dirt and or mud, and the left half is barely on that little slab that has the little white fog line next to it. So there's zero wiggle room. My mirror is still technically sticking out onto the highway. It's super busy. There's like, neow, neow, neow. I'm like, how am I going to get out to go put those emergency triangles out? But I end up exiting on the right side, so the passenger side. Get out, get my emergency triangles, go put them up at the 10, the 100 or so feet, whatever was required. I get back in, I report it, and they're like, well, this late in the day, there's not any shops open nearby, so we're going to have to get a mobile repair vendor out there to see if they can't fix your coolant line. The nearest mobile repair unit is 90 minutes out. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to be here for about an hour and a half. An hour rolls around, hour 15, hour 20, hour 30, still no sign of this guy. At about an hour and 45, I get a message from the company that is going to do the mobile repair saying that they're sending the service tech out now. He has a 60-minute drive to my location. So I'm like, that 90 minutes was a complete lie, but fine. I'm sitting there for an hour and a half, then I have to wait for about another half an hour, and then another hour till he gets there. He gets there, he's like, man, you broke down in one of the worst spots possible. Starts taking a look at it, starts to work on it. He's like, well, I don't have the right tools. So I'm going to have to go back to our shop, which is about an hour away, grab the tools, and then come back. Are you going to want more coolant? I'm like, yes, I'm completely out of coolant. Well, it's going to take me a little longer. So I'm like sitting there. I'm like, well, there's nothing else I can do. So fine. I sit there. Now, when you're broke down on the side of the road like that, you cannot go into sleeper berth. Like on your logs, you cannot put sleeper berth. You can't hop back there and sleep because it's illegal for you to sleep on the side of the road. So I had to stay awake the whole time. So we had hit about the 14 hours. Then we did an hour and a half, then about another half hour, then another hour. So that's 14, 15, 16. We're at 17 and a half hours. Guy still has not showed back up. We get to about 18 to 19 hours and a message comes through. He's like, I'm back at the shop, blah, 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 blah. Couldn't find the part. Someone else had taken it on one of their runs. They're coming back now. They'll be back soon. Once they're back, I get it from them, and then I come out to you. Like, do they have no tools at whatever shop this is? But I'm sitting there, and every time they communicate with me, I then communicate with our company, and they're like, oh, well, thank you for keeping us posted. Please let us know when the repairs are finished. Finally, we get to about, I want to say 2:30 in the morning. The guy calls. He's like, all right, I'm about 15 minutes out. Oh, I won't be long now. Blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, thank you for letting me know. The state trooper pulls up behind me, flashes his lights, hops out, and is like, all right, so what's going on? I see you're broke down here. I'm like, yes, officer. I point to the empty coolant reservoir. My coolant reservoir is completely empty. One of the lines shattered. The guy is repairing it. Said he should be here in like 15, 20 minutes. He's like, all right, well, I'll just wait and then help keep traffic out of the way. So he goes back to his car. I sit in my car, get a call from the repairman. Hey, I see you got some troopers behind you. I drove past you. Let me know when the troopers are gone, because I'm driving on expired tags right now, and I'll get a ticket for sure. But once they leave, I'll come back around and finish the repairs. And I'm sitting there. Take a deep breath. I'm like, the troopers are waiting for you to get here. I just told them you were maybe 15, 20 minutes out. They're going to help direct traffic. He's like, oh, yeah, well, tell them I'm going to be taking longer than expected because I still got to grab the coolant and whatnot. So they can go ahead and go about their day. They don't need to wait for us. So I go, I tell them that he's going to take longer than expected. They sit around for maybe another 20, 30 minutes. So this puts us around 3 a.m. before they leave. As soon as they drive away to go do something else, I call the guy. He comes, continues the repairs. It takes maybe another hour and a half to 2 hours because it puts us around 4:30ish in the morning. He finishes the repairs, fills up the coolant, sends me on my way. I get to the Loves at 5 in the morning, park, go to sleep, start doing my 34-hour reset. Everything's looking good. Boom, boom, bing. 34 reset is over, and I wake up to a low coolant warning. Apparently, the guy had only patched it just enough to get me on my way because it was late, it was cold, he was wet, and he didn't want to have to keep working on it. Because when the company called them to figure out what was going on and why no clamps were installed properly and it was just enough to get us going, they didn't answer us. So I had broke down originally at 7 p.m. It was around 9 hours in total on top of the 13-hour day that I was like sitting there 9 hours. I had to be awake, I had to be in the driver's seat, etc. Gets the 34 done Sunday morning or Monday morning. It was Monday morning at 1 a.m. when I discovered that he had done a patch job and it fell apart. I reported it to our people. They're like, well, there's nobody awake at 1 a.m. to work on your truck, so you'll have to hang tight. So I sit there until about 7 or 8 in the morning when my people call back and they're like, all right, so there's a shop just down the road from you about 3 miles. You're going to go there. They're going to take a look at it, see if it is a bad clamp, bad hose, radiator, what's actually going on. I'm like, okay, finally. We're taking it into an actual shop. It's going to get repaired. Problem's going to be solved. And I fire up the truck. I filled up more coolant so it had enough in there to get going. I start heading towards the shop. And right as I get to the exit of the Love's parking lot, my transmission just seems to stop because it will no longer move. It won't go into gear. It just makes this whirring sound. I'm like, no, I can cycle through gears, and this is a brand new transmission. It's only like a couple months old. There's no reason it should be malfunctioning. So I shut it off, I turn the whole thing off, put my hazards on, cycle the engine on and off like 5 times, hit the power differential, finally get the thing to catch gear and start moving. I'm like, something's wrong. So I report that to them. They're like, all right, we'll have the shop take a look at that as well. I get down to the shop. They go, okay, pull off to the side here. My mechanic's on a mobile call right now, but as soon as he gets back, we'll get a look at it. The guy didn't show up until around noon. So I sat for hours just waiting there. Now, I was working on my phone making different YouTube videos, so it wasn't like waste of time. And I ended up getting assigned to have the load that I was on swapped out with an empty trailer since there was no way I was going to be able to go make that delivery. At around noon, the mechanic gets back and then goes on his lunch break. So they don't actually get to my truck until about 1 p.m. And then at 1 p.m., the guy's like, yeah, we're going to start running diagnostics on it, but we're closing early today, so you might want to contact your company about getting a hotel because there's no way it's going to be done today. We're just going to be running diagnostics. So I contact the company. They put me in a hotel so it's Monday night. I'm in the hotel. Tuesday morning, I wake up. I call in, try to figure out what's going on. The guy's like, yeah, we figured out what's wrong with your coolant and the clamp. It was a hard line that had ruptured, and he had replaced it with like a soft line or something along those lines. Pun intended. So we've ordered the parts, but they won't be here till tomorrow. So you should go ahead and let your company know to rebook your hotel. I let the company know. They rebooked the hotel. So then all of Tuesday, I'm still in the same hotel. Wednesday rolls around. They've got the repairs done, except the problem is that the transmission issue was not the transmission. What they found is that it can't go into gear, but your transmission works. The reason it can't go into gear is because your rear axle has split itself. And I'm sitting there like, how on earth does a rear axle split itself? And the guy is like, my best bet is it was spinning in the snow and too much pressure was put on it, and it's an old axle, so it split. I'm like, I'm no mechanic, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would only one axle split and not both? But I didn't care. So they had it towed to a different mechanic shop, and they're like, yeah, well, it's going to be a while. We're going to have to order parts, and it's probably going to be a week or two. And when the company found that out, they got a hotel room for me for the night. That way I'd be well rested. In the morning, they got me a rental car from Little Rock, Arkansas to Bowling Green, Kentucky. That's where the new truck was. So I go, grab the rental car, take it back to the shop, basically pack up my entire life because I live in my truck and I have for the last 5 years. But I've been periodically, quote unquote, spring cleaning and decluttering, which I'm so grateful for. Cram everything I can into that little rental car, head over to Bowling Green, get the new truck, and that's basically the story of how I ended up with a new truck after 5 years. Now, the 3 things that were pretty nice about this entire headache of an ordeal was 1, I got a new truck, which I'd been needing. 2, I got plenty of time to rest when I was in the hotels so I could re-catch up on sleep since I had a 22 or 23 hour day. And then 3, I got paid pretty well to just sit around and play video games and work on my YouTube channel. I made about $1,100 in total for doing pretty much zero work that entire week. The only work I actually did was Thursday morning driving the rental car to go pick up the new truck, but the shop that the new truck was at was closed by the time I got there, so they put me in a hotel room again. So Friday morning, I actually got into my new truck. So from Monday to Friday morning, I was just big chilling. There are plenty more trucking stories to come, but that's what's been going on. At least that last one has been what's going on recently because it was only a couple weeks ago. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flip side.